So welcome back to Third Rate Content. Today we are out in a village of Shropshire, Atcham, where we're going to endeavour to unravel the layers upon layers of history, mystery, folklore and legends here in this small but history-packed village. So buckle up and I'll see you out here. The place name of Attingham is a difficult one to place. It was first mentioned in the Domesday Book as Athingham, and then later in 1199 as Ethingham. Just over the road from Atcham here is Attingham Park, which may or may not be tied in to the name Atcham, and it could be from an alliteration of locals slurring the words Attingham into Atcham. So yeah, that could be the resolution of the name of Atcham. Because in the Saxon, anywhere that finishes with the name ham usually means on a bend of the river, which Attingham most definitely is to this day, or Atcham. They're so close to each other. And it means the first part, Attingham, could either mean Eata, which we have got the church of Eata, which we're going to visit shortly, or Eata. So it's like a corruption of this, is the modern Atcham or Attingham. Just behind me is the Mitten and Mermaid pub, inn and wedding venue today. It is thought to have been built in 1725. The building was originally commissioned to be built by Richard Hall of Turn Hall, which later became Attingham Park, which is just over the road. We will do a video on that in future. But the Mitten and Mermaid has had many names over the years, including the Dower House, the Talbot Arms and the Berwick Arms. And then it became the Mitten and Mermaid in the 1930s, when it was purchased by the architect Sir Clough Williams Ellis, who designed the Renaissance Italianesque village of Portmeirion in Wales, which I would like to visit with Third Rate Content in future. Yeah, it was built here on the busy road to North Wales. So it was a staging post on the way to Portmeirion. Sir Clough converted the building to a hotel and chose the name the Mitten and Mermaid, named after a local character, Mad Jack Mitten, a gentleman who squandered his fortune in the most spectacular way. The mermaid came from the crest of the Portmeirion Hotel. And Mad Jack Mitten, who the Mitten and Mermaid is named after, was born on the 30th of September 1796 and died on the 29th of March 1834, and he died in a pauper's prison after squandering his pretty much immense fortune. Let's find out about the life of Mad Jack Mitten. Yeah, Jack Mitten's family lineage dated back 500 years from the times of Jack Mitten. Sadly, Jack Mitten's father, John, died when Jack was 2 years old, at age 30. Jack's schooling was fraught. He was expelled from Westminster School after 1 year. He was then sent to Harrow, where he was expelled after 3 days. The remainder of his education was done privately with tutors, and he used to play pranks on his tutors, including leaving one of his beloved horses in the aforementioned tutor's bedroom for a joke. And after not attaining a great deal from his school years, he still got into Cambridge, and he sort of set the marker out early for what he was going to do at Cambridge by turning up on his first day with 2,000 bottles of port to see him through the first term. And after leaving Cambridge University, after not very long, he found it apparently very boring. He then went on a grand tour of Europe. It was quite a popular thing to do for the gentry in those days, which included touring the capitals of Europe and the ancient sites. It's a little bit like what we do on Third Rate Content, except in Shropshire and not Europe. And without the 6 bottles of port a day. After his grand tour of Europe, Jack enlisted, with a commission in the military in the 7th Hussars, who had extremely ornate uniforms, even by the standards of those days. And after 1 year of active service in the military, in the occupying force, after the defeat of Napoleon, he served 1 year and left the military. By this time, Jack had come of manhood at 21 years old and inherited the vast Mytton fortune that had been left to him. And that was the beginning of Jack's real troubles. Jack started spending his inheritance, which was a fair inheritance. If he had not gone mad, he would have had the equivalent in today's money of £800,000 a year to spend, but that wasn't enough for Jack and his wild ways. In 1819, Jack thought he would follow his family tradition and become a member of Parliament for Shrewsbury. This involved encouraging his constituents to vote for him by giving them a £10 note each. And this cost Jack what would be in today's money £800,000 to secure his seat in Parliament. But Jack Mitten didn't really have the aptitude for a life attending Parliament. Apparently he only attended once for 30 minutes. So it was money spent in vain. So after his abortive attempt at a political life, Jack indulged his true loves, which was gambling, hunting and horse racing. And this started successfully with his horse Euphrates, which won many races, including the Gold Cup. Jack had Euphrates painting done by renowned artist William Webb, and the painting was exhibited at the Royal Academy in 1725. And it was at this time that the real Mad Jack Mitten started coming to the fore. As a result of losing a bet, apparently, Jack Mitten rode his horse into the Bedford Hotel in Leamington Spa, up the grand staircase, and then jumped off the balcony, over the seated diners, and out through the window. As well as horse racing, another love of Jack Mitten's, Mad Jack Mitten's, was hunting. And he had hunted with hounds for foxes since the age of 10. And he was known to hunt in very light clothes in the depths of winter. A very thin linen shirt, cotton trousers, and the thinnest jacket. But he was known in the heat of the hunt to strip off naked and continue to chase his quarry. And at other times, he was known to wake up in the dead of night, go out into the winter's evening or winter's night, the desolation of it, naked, with his best gun, and just go down to the nearest pond and start shooting at ducks. and then return home as if nothing had happened. And Jack was never said to have been taken ill by these nighttime excursions, easy for you to say, and it never seemed to affect him. And another Mad Jack favourite escapade was he would take his stable lads, a small army of them, out once again in the depths of winter on rat hunts, and he would equip his stable lads with ice skates. Of course, Mad Jack Mitten's family home was Halston, not too far from Whittington actually. Yeah, Mad Jack Mitten was known for his extensive wardrobe. He is said to have had 150 pairs of handmade hunting breeches, 700 pairs of handmade boots, 1,000 hats and 3,000 shirts. You just got to think of the expense of these. Mad Jack's life was said to be a series of suicide attempts. One time, he set his shirt on fire to rid himself of hiccups and narrowly escaped serious immolation or even death. An Oswestry doctor dining at Halston Hall. Upon leaving, Mad Jack donned a highwayman's outfit and took 2 pistols, and then unbeknownst to the doctor, chased him and held him up, saying, "Your money or your life." Of course, the doctor did not know what was going on and scarpered, hoping to survive. This was all a joke for Mad Jack Mitten. Yeah, Jack's life was becoming scandalous. He even had a bare-knuckle fight with a tough local miner, which went on for 20 rounds before the miner gave up. Mad Jack Mitten's crazy spending was starting to catch up with him, and one of his monetary advisors said, "Jack, if you can survive on £6,000 a year," which imagine what that was in the early 1800s, "your estate will be fine." But Mad Jack said, "I can't survive on £6,000 a year, damn you," and continued his spendthrift ways, and money was just like, he was just throwing money around, literally. He lost thousands of pounds of racetrack winnings, and he just didn't seem to care. And in the end, Jack had to escape England because his debtors were after him, and debtors' prison was looming. So he went on the run for 2 years in France. He had been married twice in England before this. His first wife died after 2 years, and his second wife did give him children who wouldn't have benefited from the estate. But on leaving for France, he met another lady who he said he would pay £500 per annum to be his companion. She agreed and lived with Jack for the last couple of years of his life. Yeah, after not long though, after a year or so, Jack returned from France, and he was thrown in debtor's prison, and that is where he died, penniless and leaving no estate for his successors. But he was a character. Not everybody could be like Mad Jack Mitten, and if everybody was, the world would be a crazy place. But characters like that are well remembered, and here we are talking about him today on Third Rate Content. So Jack Mitten, we salute you for your craziness and your madness, and for a great story. Thank you, Jack. Mad Jack's body was kept at the Mitten and Mermaid the night before his funeral at Halston, near his family home near Oswestry. Some 3,000 people turned out for his funeral, and mourning peals rang from the churches of Oswestry, Shrewsbury, Ellesmere, Whittington and Halston. Rest in peace, Jack Mitten. I'm sure your stories will live for a long time. The new Atcham road bridge was built in 1929. and was designed and built by L.G. Muchel. The old bridge is a Grade 2 listed structure and was designed by John Gwynn, who also designed the Welsh Bridge in Shrewsbury. From this aspect, the Tower of St. Etas, it's sort of got a look like two towers spliced together. The lower two floors are actually early English, and there is a Roman masonry used in the tower. Yeah, the new bridge has room for 2 lanes of traffic, whereas the old bridge could only fit 1 car, and it just didn't make it in the 20th century, hence the 2 bridges on this side. Some of the medieval features that may remain are possibly some of the pier placements or the actual original foundations. In the Second World War, there was an RAF Atcham. The land that was used for the airfield has now been returned to agricultural lands, but it did have American P-47 Thunderbolts and later P-38 Lightnings. It's just mad to think of that all happening around here. So, on this lovely, picturesque site on the banks of the River Severn stands St. Etas. Definitely uniquely named in this part of the country. This area, though, was known to the Romans because there are Roman stones, probably from nearby Wroxeter, embedded into the walls of this church. Because Anglo-Saxons were also active in this area, and there is aerial photography taken in the 1970s showing you can still see the sort of silhouettes or plan of the Saxon settlement in this area, very close to where we're standing today. As we said earlier, Attingham and Atcham's names are tied together, most probably. And the dedication of a church to Saint Eata is unique. Eata being a friend of Saint Cuthbert, who was the abbot of Lindisfarne in the 660s. The Anglo-Norman historian Audius Vitalis was baptized here, and he went on to write the history of the Angles and Normans. He lived in Normandy for most of his life. The church of St Eata consists of an undivided nave and chancel with a south porch and a west tower. This very much looks like a Norman window in the north wall, with the two sloping stones passing through the full thickness of the wall. But along with the round-headed window, it is thought by some that the main part of the nave could have Anglo-Saxon origins. Here in the east window is some 15th century stained glass brought here in 1811 from Mytton in Herefordshire. It's damaged and it shows the family of Miles ap Parry. And this is more of the Mytton stained glass that was brought here in 1811. And this one shows Blanche Parry, maid of honour to Elizabeth I. And her inscription reads that the glass, being much broken and neglected, was removed from Mytton and brought to Atcham by Mrs. Mary Burton, a descendant of the Parry family. Yeah, it's thought that some of the stones here, excuse my shadow, with this scale leaf pattern are thought to come from a Roman mausoleum, which was situated about 1.5 miles from Atcham. The Roman mausoleum was thought to be at the confluence of the Tern and the Severn. The octagonal font is dated 1675, and the two initials you can see on it, the two pairs of carved initials, are thought to be church wardens dating from the 17th century. Their initials are immortalised, but their names are unknown. The porch here at St Etas is dated from 1665. So thank you for watching to the end of today's third rate content. I hope you enjoyed, but you probably enjoyed somewhat if you're still here. But thanks for joining me on this really interesting ramble round a Shropshire village and finding out about some of its history and the goings on here over the years and nearby here. Been a real eye-opener for me. I hope you enjoyed it too and learned something, or if you didn't learn something, you at least found it entertaining. But if I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. Don't forget, if you want to, leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and if I don't see you soon, I'll see you 3 times as soon. Third rate content, sign out. Bye bye.